Good.
We're ready to go.
Greenville City Council will come to order. Please call roll.
White.
Present.
Brown.
Here.
Ely. Present. Godwin.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here. All right, if I could get everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. Council members, you were emailed out the minutes. They were stand approved unless there's a objection. All right. Council members, you were also emailed out the current financial report. I'll take a motion to accept or not approve that.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Godwin to accept the current financial report. Discussion. Call the roll.
White.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes. Okay, approval of the agenda. There are no changes, so that it will be as emailed out.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion. Call the roll.
White.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to our public hearing section. Anyone would like to come to the podium? Now is the time.
I just have two things. First of all the neighbors out by the park are talking about how wonderful the park is looking with the big trucks going up and down Harmon this last week, taking away all that mulch and everything. So on behalf of our area, I want to say thank you for getting that done so quickly. And the other thing is, I was up here a couple weeks ago and I talked about people coming to our door. They're still doing it. And the ironic thing is that very guy that came to my door the day they had the tribute going down North Broadway, and I warned him, you are not to be soliciting, and he claimed that his boss had the lanyard and all that. He shows up again just 2 days ago. And he started to give me the tag, and I said, no, I've already got it. What can I do? Because it looks like nobody's listening.
Does he have a card?
He gave me a card and I kept it. So and in fact, the day that happened, a police officer was going down the street and I flagged him down, and he wears a bright orange shirt, this guy does. He's not from Greenville, but anyway, I said, see that guy in the orange shirt? He's going door to door. And he's trying to get tree business. And didn't he show back up just the other day and trying to get business? And I saw him going door to door. I didn't call the police because I'm like, should I bother? So what should I do?
Yes.
Pardon?
The answer is yes.
Okay, call the police. And what should I tell him? Because since it was the very same guy, what should I tell him? Because what are you going to do? Are you just
Tell him what you just told us. I mean, truly,
okay? That he's
I'd
been
like to have that card.
okay. I'll get it for you.
I mean, the card
I
will
will.
go to the new chief and we'll take care of it.
Okay, because
We have an ordinance and they need to obey
exactly.
it.
And I told the man that, and he claimed his boss was wearing the lanyard, and I knew he was lying. So okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Public hearing.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Lieutenant Ryan Benji. Tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., I'll have the honor of being sworn in as the Chief of Police for the Greenville Police Department. I want to take a moment to introduce myself to the council. Most of you I've already met. Share a bit of my background and outline some goals and objectives I have for our police department. I was born and raised in the community. I graduated from Ixonia High School in 2008. Following high school, I served in the United States Army as an infantryman with a year deployment to Iraq during that time. After my military service, I returned to this community and decided I wanted to pursue a career in law enforcement. In 2013, I started my career as a police officer in Ixonia. And in 2014, I joined the Greenville Police Department. I was a patrol officer for 4 years, then was reassigned to the investigations division with my primary assignment being narcotics investigations. In July 2019, I was promoted to patrol sergeant, and in January 2021, I was promoted to lieutenant with my first assignment being support services lieutenant, and then over the last couple of years, I've been managing the operations division of the police department. My greatest achievement, however, is being a father, and my greatest blessings are my 2 daughters, Lucille, who is 5, and Eleanor, who's 1. During my more than 10 years with the Greenville Police Department, I've had the privilege of working with some of the most dedicated men and women I've ever met. To have the opportunity to be their chief of police is an indescribable feeling, and I'm ready to hit the ground running with an energized command staff. With all that being said, I know there's a lot of room for improvement, and the challenges that we face in law enforcement never seemingly get any easier. It's only going to get harder from here. I'm a firm believer in our agency's potential for greatness as a whole. My immediate goals for our department are centered around reinforcing our mission statement, which emphasizes our commitment to excellence and rejects mediocrity. The vision begins with enhancing our hiring practices, improving staff training, and ensuring that every member of our team has the resources necessary for success. I'll always advocate for my staff and attempt to find ways to help them thrive in their career. We owe it to our community to deliver the highest standard of policing services, and I am committed to ensuring that we do just that. I appreciate your time, and I welcome any questions.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, congrats.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
And
Rob.
what time is it tomorrow morning?
9:30.
9:30, okay.
Right here.
Right here, okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Anyone else? Public hearing. And you didn't have to get all dressed up for that.
He's setting a good tone, man.
Hi, I'm a little nervous. My
You're
name's-
fine. Just
Take a deep
your
breath
time.
and relax.
Are you fine? Yes. How do you know that?
Just take a look.
Okay. Anyway, I'd like to speak out for transit because I am on disability. I have a diagnosis of Parkinson's, and it is the only way I have to get around for medical appointments, to go to the doctor, and, you know, I have a lot of medical appointments. Walmart, laundromat, library, just anywhere I need to go, I use them a lot. And I don't know what I will do if they got cut out, because I have no family that can just take me. They all work. So it's just a great program, and I feel blessed by having them in Greenville, and I hope that you will continue with them. Like I said, I'm nervous, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, you did a nice job.
Anyone else? All right, moving on to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Council President. First of all, I want to congratulate Lieutenant Benji, who'll become our new chief tomorrow morning, as well as Sergeant Joe Monin, who will be promoted to lieutenant and sworn in, as well as Patrol Officer Alan Smith, who will be sworn in as a sergeant. This will be again tomorrow morning at 9:30, and we had a very productive police chief promotional assessment center this past Saturday, which was very diligent in choosing our next chief. Also, I want to make mention of the fact that this very chief's organization, the Ohio Association of Chief of Police, will be providing a free service. It's a mentoring for new chiefs. And this is a process that is designed to assist new or newly appointed chiefs in transitioning to a successful tenure in office. And they want to facilitate a smooth transition for a new chief. and his staff and provide leadership for the police department. And we're looking forward to providing that service as a member of that organization. So I just wanted to make mention of the fact that Chief Benji will have access to a very well-respected mentor in the next several months in his first role in office. I want to thank the street department once again. 10 weeks out from the tornado, I mean, we've had band concerts in the park that are very well attended. I want to invite everyone to come out this Sunday night again at 7 o'clock. We now have a lot more parking because of the role that they did in getting all that mulch out of there, like Janet mentioned. It's just been incredible. We were able to have our Ringer Classic Horseshoe Tournament, which was very well attended. A lot of people out there, 90 entrants, and it was a very successful tournament, as well as having the swimming pool open. All those things happened in the park, and that all happened within the last 10 weeks, and just incredible thanks to everyone for all the work that they've done. We had another event at the fairgrounds last weekend. It was called Farm Power of the Past, celebrating preserving our agricultural heritage with all kinds of classic tractors, farm equipment, lawn and garden equipment, and Ohio gas-built engines. It was a tremendous event, a lot of attendance. A lot of people thought the county fair was going on. There were so many cars around and so much activity. So it's an annual event. This was their 25th anniversary, and I enjoyed attending that as well. With all of that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving on.
President, can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, Mr. Mayor, could you please send us a copy of that mentoring program that
Oh,
the
sure.
people
I got the email.
I would like to.
I'll
read
forward it
and
to all of you guys.
That would be great, just as a
Yeah.
resource.
Yeah,
So thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the mayor? All right, moving on to Safety Service Director, Mr. Dunk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some updates for this evening. First is the YOLO Park restrooms. Still an ongoing project. The roof system is on. They're finishing up the plumbing this week, and the concrete will be poured around the structure here at the end of the week. Next week, we plan to actually put the shingles on and start the painting process and install doors and start hooking up all the splashback controls and electric. So it's getting closer, so that's getting exciting, so we can have it open here and the splash pad back up and running for downtown. The brush grinding in the park, as the mayor and Ms. Dieter has alluded to, it's all finished up. So I'd like to thank Dark County Solid Waste, and the Dark County Commissioners have agreed to pay $22,341 of that invoice to have that brush removed. It was a big help to the city. So Dark County Solid Waste is funded partially by trash service when people take trash to Rumpke, and then that's some of the funds that they use to help us out there. So it was a big help. I'd like to speak about fiber to home, OmniFiber, and Brightspeed a little bit. So OmniFiber is finishing up. They still have some hard surface restoration to accomplish, some sidewalk work, some asphalt work, some other repair items, but it's getting a lot closer. Brightspeed is kind of just getting started. Just a reminder, they're 75% overhead and 25% underground, but you know, it's causing a lot of misinformation because there's another company right behind them doing the exact same thing. So OmniFiber was permitted through the state of Ohio to utilize right-of-way and easement space. Brightspeed bought out CenturyLink, so when they bought CenturyLink out, then they bought all that permitting and easement right-of-ways from that company. But for the public, if there's any problems or issues out there, call our planning and zoning department. That way we're aware and we can get the right people out there to get it fixed for them. Let's see. I would also like to request, I'd like to request a utilities committee assignment to look at water meters. So we had a total citywide water meter replacement back, I believe it was like around 2013. At that time, they were all switched out kind of in one fell swoop. It was probably a 6-month to a year project at the time. And when we purchased those, the company said the commercial meters will last somewhere between the 10 to 15 year mark, and the residential meters will last somewhere between the 15 and 20 year mark. Well, we're year 11, and the commercial meters are starting to fail at a rapid rate, so they're not going to make it to the 15-year mark. So we want to meet with the Utilities Committee and come up with a good plan moving forward. That way, when we hit the 15-year mark on the residential side, we're ready to go and have a program in place for that.
Okay. When do you need something back, Ryan?
It's not a great big hurry. If we could do maybe the first meeting in September.
Okay. First meeting in September, which will be September the 3rd, and Utility Committee members are Clarence Godwin, Chairman, Chris Norris, Vice Chair, and Brian Brown, member.
Next thing, I would like to, this swearing in tomorrow at 9:30. I know everybody's talked about that, but a big congratulations to Lieutenant Benji and Sergeant Monin and Officer Alan Smith. You know, it was Monin, Lieutenant Benji, and Lieutenant Boyer all did the assessment center, took a civil service test on Saturday. It was an all-day event. So basically what happens there, just so you all are informed, we had an assessment center. So the Ohio Police Chiefs Association brings in a group of 3 different chiefs. They're all like 12 years, I think, was the least as far as being an actual chief of police. So they bring them in and they basically recreate what would it be like a day being the police chief at the Greenville Police Department, and they throw all these different scenarios at them. They have a general set of duties that they have to work on all day, and then things are constantly happening, and then they have to react to those things, and that's how they test them. These chiefs that came in and helped us out are all similar size organizations. I think one was the chief of Lebanon, Ohio, one was the chief of West Carrollton, and one was the chief of it was Fairfield County. But it was a great process, a long day for all of them, but that's how it all shakes out when we do those assessment centers. But it's very interesting to get their perspective, someone that's been a police chief for all these years, and then they also are the ones who help out with the mentor program through that Ohio Police Chiefs Association. But we're excited for the staff over there and everyone that's going to get sworn in and promoted tomorrow, and we expect great things.
The only other thing I wanted to touch on, the Daughters of the American Revolution, number 8. Mrs. Nicesonger is here. She's with the Daughters of the American Revolution. So when we get to that, if anyone has any questions, I would just ask that we allow her to speak a little bit. She was instrumental in this project and getting it through. And then we have a lot of legislation on transit, so I would be happy to answer any questions anyone has on these transit contracts as well. And with that, I will pass.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Safety Service Director?
On the promotions,
Yes, sir.
is Lieutenant Boyer staying as support services?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Mr. Delp,
Yes, sir.
you said another company's coming along for another internet provider after Brightspeed?
No, it's just Brightspeed and OmniFiber right now.
There's not a third one?
There's a third wanting, but we're trying to keep them at bay.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
Whenever they was digging in my front yard, they put a lot of dirt out on the sidewalk and didn't clean it up. And they also knocked some of my retaining blocks loose.
Was this Omni or Brightspeed?
Brightspeed.
Brightspeed, okay. What's your address?
125 Laurel Street, Greenville.
I will say they started awful early in the morning when they were like boring underground. It was like 6:30 in the morning and we could hear ting, 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 ting.
I'll address both those items.
Any other questions for Mr. Delk? All right, moving on to our law director, Mr. Reaman.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I want to echo everyone's comments. Really excited for the promotions in the police department. Congratulations to Lieutenant Benji, Sergeant Monner, and Officer Smith. Also, you'll see in the legislation tonight, we want to make sure that as Chief Roberts is going out, we've got legislation to provide him his retirement badge and sell him a service weapon. So, he spent his career here and want to thank him for his service as well. The other thing I wanted to touch on briefly is we continue to work with our code enforcement officer. He's made some good progress. We've got a system in place, and so we sent out initial letters. There's secondary letters coming out, and we'll be taking our first few cases to the municipal court. Again, it's our hope through this entire process to get voluntary compliance. That's the goal. But at the same time, we understand that to make sure that people understand that we're serious about this, we do have to take some of the non-compliant properties to court. So that will be happening soon. Chance Cox, the assistant law director, will handle those criminal cases because they are of a criminal nature. So with that, I'll answer any questions anybody has.
No questions for our law director. Not a very popular guy.
The night's not over though.
Moving on, City Auditor, Ms. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to congratulate our police department. We're very fortunate to have a great staff and very fortunate for all of those promotions. So we're looking forward to that swearing in tomorrow. I also have some news on some training for everyone that receives a W-2 for the city of Greenville. The Auditor of State is requiring that everyone take an 8-minute online video training for certification for fraud. It's fraud prevention training. And we will be sending the link to everyone. And before you guys leave tonight, I need to give you a piece of paper that you need to sign and return to me. We do need to have those completed. I'll put the deadline. The deadline's in September, but the sooner the better. If you just get it done, it's painless. You log in, the website's right there. It's a link we'll send out. You click on the link, you put your name and address in there, you click play. Our great auditor tells us the information, our Auditor of State. The 8 minutes is over. You wait for it to load up, and it says click for your certificate. Click for your certificate, and it will print you your certificate. So it's a requirement by the state auditor, and it's really painless, I promise.
No test?
No test, no
No
questions.
test?
No. Just have to watch the video, that's it. But you're welcome to call me with any questions after you've taken it or before, and we will have, if you can't take it at home or don't want to take it at home, there's actually a QR code you can scan and it'll pop up on your phone. So that would be another way of taking it, or we will be able to supply an area here in the city building for anybody that would want to just come up and pop in and do it here. So any of those things. With that, I have no other announcements or anything. If anyone has any questions.
We bring that certificate to you then?
Yes, and you also have, there's also a form that I'll give you tonight before you leave that has to be signed and part of your personnel file. So it's a requirement of that.
So Kim, I screenshot of mine and sent it to you. Was that all right?
Yeah, I'll print it off.
Okay. It's
A PDF and send it to me.
It's basically a 7-minute little video, and then afterwards just click. You just have to wait. What I seen was, it was slow. It took
It
like a
is.
minute before
It's
you
slow
get
on
the
the
certificate,
uptake.
so don't give up.
You think you're not going to get it, but you will.
And I have zero patience, so.
Well, I tried yours, I guess, but yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I do,
Okay.
Mr. President. Kim?
Yes.
The income tax report that was sent out, I know we're still lagging behind.
Yes.
Are we lagging, are we still expecting to get to last year's levels, or where?
Expecting to get to last year's levels were higher than what they had anticipated, as far as the budget was concerned and the revenue was concerned. We exceeded last year's expected revenue. We are expecting to hit what we have budgeted for in our expectant revenue, which is less than what last year's revenue numbers were, but not We do not expect to not hit the revenue numbers for 2024. We will hit them.
Okay, so let me ask it a different way. The pace comparison to last year, being 24.8% off of last year, do we expect to end 24% off, or where do we expect to end?
Well, you're comparing because we had an exceptional year last year in the revenue, so that's what you're comparing it against. So that 24% represents that. So we might not hit that 24% just because we might not exceed the revenue, but we will hit the mark of the revenue of what we have anticipated.
Which was what?
It's 9 point something. I didn't bring it.
That's the number we think we're going to hit?
Yes, I will. I will email you that along with when you have your, I'll email you tomorrow or email you when I go back to the office, the exact number that we budgeted, but that was what we talked about when we did the budget, that it's the same number. But I will email you the exact number because we have so much in tax revenue, and then we have revenue that's collected by the state that we receive as well. So that's a different number.
Which is not in this number.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any
Anybody
other
else?
questions for Auditor? All right, moving on. Committee reports, we have none. Under ordinances and resolutions, number one, we have a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with the Darke County Jobs and Family Services to provide transit services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contract with Darke County Job and Family Services for transit services that provide the city with compensation in the amount of $22.65 for each person each way.
And this is the third reading of that, right? Okay.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to adopt a resolution. Discussion.
I have a couple questions before we go forward, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
We had a good meeting to discuss this, and I appreciate that. Is there any planned growth of the transit organization to support this or other legislations that we're bringing, that we're talking about? How do we scale the system? I guess I'm still confused with that one.
How do we scale the system?
Additional vehicles, additional drivers, additional routes.
There's no plan for additional vehicles. So all these pieces of legislation or all these contracts, except for the Darke County Educational Services contract, are current existing contracts, and this is just renewing them.
These are all renewals.
All renewals, just at the new revised rate, except for that Darke County Educational Services one. So we do not at this point have a plan to scale to add additional vehicles. Additional employees, yes, but not additional budget for employees. So if you remember correctly, maybe 3 months ago, we upped the strength ordinance for the transit to add more part-time employees. And that wasn't to change the budget number. That was just to spread out that budget number a little bit. So if an employee wanted to work one shift a week, we could say, okay, work one shift a week or even one shift a month and we'll take you. That's the only reason that was being done. I think maybe down the road, there is a need for out-of-county transportation, taking people to Dayton, Richmond, Troy, Piqua, whatever. That could be a discussion we could have further down the road, and that would definitely require more buses and more employees. But at this point, we do not have a plan to add that.
And this renewal, as well as the other renewals, are all currently operating under the 30-day grace period?
Correct.
May I ask
Absolutely.
a question?
Yes.
I think it would have been most helpful, and maybe I overlooked it, and if I did, I apologize, but it would have been most helpful had it been explained that it was renewal, because when you get these things, I don't think it's always clear what you're expecting us to read and vote on. So I think if you can make, I always say this, if we could cut through the legalese and put it in, I understand there's the need for the legalese, don't shoot me. But I think if we could have a little more common sense so that, the synopsis could maybe say, this is a renewal of a contract that has been ongoing. I think those things would make a difference when I read something. Just to arbitrarily say we want this, that doesn't always set well with me, so just FYI,
Duly noted.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ryan, I'm going to come back to you
Yes,
once more.
absolutely.
And this is strictly for trips to and from family health, the way it's written?
No, Dark County Job and Family Services provides trips for the entire county,
Anywhere, anytime, or anywhere,
within the county.
okay? Because that's not the scope that's called out in the legislation is why I asked that.
For the Dark County Job and Family Services.
Yeah, if you look on page 2, the rates and information is within Greenville city limits to include family health within Dark County. It didn't,
Oh, I'm with you.
but it's anywhere in Dark County.
Anywhere in Dark County. So Dark County Job and Family Services have a contract, so they're a government agency as well.
Yep.
They get their funding from Medicaid, I believe I always mess that Medicare, but I believe it's Medicaid. And then anyone who qualifies for that Medicaid payment, they pay those rates for them. But yeah, it's for anywhere in the entire county. And, keep in mind, I would say that probably 75% of those start in the city of Greenville and end up outside of the city of Greenville.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ryan, and you may not be able to answer this, but let's say they take somebody from Greenville to Arcanum for a medical appointment. Does that vehicle then stay in that area, or does it come back to Greenville?
I can't answer that, but I would ask.
Katie, you want to come up and answer that?
Yeah.
And when you go back, can you turn the air conditioner down? It's hot up here.
Right.
So to answer your question, it really just depends on what other trips that we have scheduled during that time. So if we send a vehicle to Arcanum, for example, if there's another trip that's within the next 30, 40 minutes in that time, the vehicle will stay. And if not, the vehicle comes back to Greenville and resumes doing the Greenville trips that have been scheduled for that day.
And that's all computerized, right? So
Correct.
the computer tells you to stage it or to come
Yes.
back, et cetera.
Yep.
Okay.
How many, how many pre-scheduled do you roughly a day? And obviously it changes day to day, but
Honestly, it just depends on the day.
30, 40, 100, like
How many trips do we have? How many trips per day?
roughly?
No.
Just in general, like what is the transit schedule a day?
140 was what we had today,
Okay.
for example.
And so do you guys have, so you obviously schedule drivers, right? So you can accommodate the 140.
Correct.
Do you have any available just for on demand for like the local citizens as
So
well?
all of our trips are on demand.
Okay.
So like you can call and schedule them, a couple days in advance, but like everything is first come, first serve. So does that answer your question?
No. So if we have 140 pre-scheduled, that has been scheduled 2 days ago, right? So you're gonna make sure there's enough drivers to handle that 140.
Correct.
And then the day of, Jana wants to go to the grocery store or wherever.
Right. So we'll have additional people scheduled as
So you
well.
do, okay. I just wasn't sure if that was available for on-demand like that, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So how long does those people maybe that went to Arcanum, if you bring that vehicle back to run other runs, how long is that person sitting at the doctor's office after they get done?
So it would depend on if they scheduled their pickup prior to, or if they're calling when they're done for us to come back.
Sometimes they wouldn't know when they would be done, though.
Right. So if they're just calling when they're done as a demand response type of thing, it would just depend how busy we are at that time.
So they could sit for quite some time.
Maybe, maybe not. It just depends. But we also require any trips that are outside the city to be booked 24 hours in advance so that we can allow adequate staffing for that.
The returns is what I would be interested in.
when they're booking, when they're calling in and making arrangements, do you encourage them to check to see about how long they will be involved? I know you can't get an exact amount.
Sure.
But I think
yeah.
your estimate, if you could have them give you an estimate, I think we would not have what we're worried about is people
Sure.
sitting there not getting the service that they feel they're entitled.
Right, and a lot of people do that. They'll say, I think I'm gonna be at the doctor's for an hour, so we can put in a will call trip for that, just letting us know that they're still there and they still need picked up, and it'll put in a rough estimate of when they think they might be ready. Sometimes they'll call us and say, hey, the doctor's running behind, I'm gonna be 30 more minutes, and we can just go in and adjust that as it's needed.
And the old rate for Dark County Family Services was like $16, right?
16, correct,
So 16 going to 22.
correct.
Thank you. 2265.
Yes.
Good.
All right, any other questions? Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Same.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers,
Abstain.
Schmidt.
Yes. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to ordinance resolutions number 2, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Rest Haven to provide transit services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contract with Rest Haven for transit services that provide the city with compensation in the amount of $22.65 for each person each way.
Move to adopt this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to adopt this resolution. Discussion.
Question, Mr. President.
Yes.
First off, confirmation, this is a renewal. What was the old rate to the new rate? So it's going from $8.50 to $22.65. Okay. This resolution shows no scope of transportation. It doesn't talk about within Dark County.
Katie, can I get you to come up so that
I'm sorry.
you're at the podium? So people can hear you. Sorry.
As opposed to other legislation, this one doesn't have any scope of services other than we'll subscribe anywhere, anybody, anytime, anywhere. That's, Mike and I had this discussion earlier.
Good, but and then to the extent that as the contract was negotiated, the understanding was that it was going to be limited to Dark County, is that correct?
Correct.
And so we can add the language to put that clarification in there. And so that, the contract was noted that way. I understand the concern on Exhibit A, description of services to be modified to add in the reduction, but that is the understanding of all the parties.
And the understanding is fine, but I do believe that from a legalistic standpoint, there should be definition as opposed to understanding.
I'm with you, and we will make that modification prior to execution.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Abstain.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers,
Abstain.
Schmidt.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Moving on to number 3, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contracts to provide transit services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contracts to provide transit services within Dark County with compensation in the minimum amount of $21 per person each way. Prior to executing the contracts, the law director will approve the terms of each contract.
So this was given the first read, that's the second reading.
That was the second.
That was the second.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution third reading by title only.
Motion to suspend rules and give this resolution the third reading by title only. Discussion on suspending rules. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
No.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers,
No.
Schmidt.
Yes. All right, so that will lay over for the third reading. Moving on to number 4, resolution authorizing entering into grant agreement for transit services.
A resolution authorizing entering into a grant agreement for transit services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into a grant agreement with ODOT for the Rural Transit Program, with transit receiving $450,000 from federal funds and $260,000 from state funds.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this resolution and read it by title only, second, third time.
Moved by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing entering into a grant agreement for transit services. A resolution authorizing entering into a grant agreement for transit services.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt a resolution. Discussion.
What are the comparable federal and state funds from last year to this year? The new contract is $450 and $260. What were those comparable 2024 values?
I'm estimating here. I could get you we get you a copy of the exact contract and exactly what it was.
Give me the estimate for now.
But I believe the estimate is around 325 for the federal side, and it was around 175 for the state side. And so back in February, well, really before February, we started having discussions with ODOT that we were looking into going into contract with our county to go county-wide. And so then they upped our grant for this year because it's July to July. Plus, ODOT used to do January to January, and now they just switched from July to July to go with their fiscal year.
And I'm bringing that for a point, and just to make sure we're all clear.
Yep.
So we're going from somewhere around 500,000 to like 700,000.
Yep.
And last year, how much of that 500 did we consume?
Again, it's going to be an estimate, but I believe it was, well, last year's budget was a little over $1 million, so it had to be around 500,000.
Okay. The reason that I'm asking those questions, as we add more, potentially more and more contracts,
Yep.
do we get to the point where we get in jeopardy of needing more grant money than what we have available? In other words, can we overspend? Can we get to the point where we need to overspend our grant money, which then brings back, I think, that cost to the city? Doesn't, you should get a grant.
The cost is going to add up to the city if we don't approve the contract. So the contracts are how we offset the city's cost.
I understand, to a point, but we could get so much that we spend all the grant money, if I understood what we went through last week.
Okay.
We could spend all the grant money and still need to put more in to keep things running. That's the way I took the.
You could, but your contracts are what offset that cost. So if you do away with the contracts and you depend just only on that grant money, you're going from the city, instead of putting the $60,000-$70,000 a year the city puts in, to you could have to put in $300,000 or $400,000 to make it work.
And I'm okay with that. I understand exactly that. But the other side of that coin also, I thought, from what we talked about, so that you would end up spending more city money if you went over the grant amount.
I don't think.
Okay, then I misunderstood.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
Okay. I stand corrected then. We'll talk, you and I can talk separately, it's fine.
Yeah,
No, I'm fine.
I'm an open book.
I know that.
Any other questions?
With all these grants all these contracts that you're working on and developing, who monitors whether those are successful? It's something that maybe next year we won't want to have a renewal on it?
Right.
How do we monitor that and keep track of what this program is costing us? I just need to know, like, is there a bookkeeping flag that goes up when it says, hey, this is working?
Absolutely. So one, our transit director monitors them and then works with the mayor and I if there's something that doesn't look right, or it's like, and one of the reasons we're redoing all these contracts, because you heard earlier, the 850, that was because ODOT came to us, and keep in mind, we didn't negotiate these, this was back when we were with MV Transit, and they were already set in place, the numbers were already set in place, and ODOT came to us and said, so they're another oversight, so we have to submit a quarterly report to ODOT on what we're spending, what we're bringing in, and then they come in and they audit us on a yearly basis, just from the transit side of things. Like transit's a whole nother, because then we get audited from the state auditors on the city side of it. But this is just the transit side. So they come in and they're like, hey, you can't have, these contracts are costing you money, basically. You need to get these fixed.
And I think that's where some of this ambiguous or this gray area is, because the fact that we've taken transit back under the covering of the city, I don't want it to be a blow up in our face and go look like what a bunch of fools you were. I mean,
I'm at the top of that mountain, let me tell you.
And I am not disagreeing with you. I think, and what I want the public to know is, this may seem kind of like silly that we're doing all this and asking all these questions. It's not silly. It's information that we as council members need to know. And I sometimes think we just like, oh, well, it must be okay because they put that legislation before me. But that's not okay. We need to know what our city is doing. Right. And I need to be comfortable with that and explain it. And I think the public has a need to know about what transit is. I can't tell you, sometimes I get a lot of negative comments about transportation, and I'm saying, well, we are trying and working to fix those issues that you have. But if I don't know what I'm actually having in front of me as a contract, well, I'm just blowing hot air, and I'm not very good of answering their questions. So thank you.
You're welcome, anytime.
And and all of us know that the only feedback we're going to get about transit from the public is mostly the negative.
Right, yep,
And
absolutely.
they have to wait and say, why am I waiting because you're going out of the city? And I mean, so we need to all become more well-versed in how to answer the public's questions on that. I think that's where, a lot of dialogue is taking place.
If I might, the waiting could involve citywide transit too.
That would be confusing the issues with the facts. I agree with you, but the perception of the citizens will be what the perception is, that we need to be able to discuss intelligently with them. That was my only point with that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, again, countywide transit, like I pointed out last week, helps get people around the entire county, people from Greenville that may need to go to Arcanum or Ansonia or Versailles. They now have that opportunity. These contracts that are being renegotiated are taking into effect our costs. We're negotiating these rates not to lose money, but they make more money than we did last year, as she pointed out. And these, to be fair to Katie, these were pointed out last week as being renewals of contracts. They're renegotiated, but they're not new contracts. I also want to point out, you guys got a letter from ODOT that pointed out, I don't know if everybody got the opportunity to read it. Did you all? It points out the necessity for these contracts to meet our obligation of the 50% local match requirement for these grants.
If I may, Mr. President.
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, I think we might be missing the point here. What we are trying to do is, number one, educate ourselves. And when we ask these questions, it's not to attack Katie, it's not to attack the process, it's just to find the information out so that when that little lady comes up to me at church and says, I tried to use that transit system, it's not worth the paper it's written on. This is the paper that it's written on. So I think we are trying to get a handle on so that we can represent Katie and the transportation department and ourselves and not look like, a bunch of idiots. And I don't wear idiot very well. So I just think that we are looking for education and processing. Okay. That's what I'm looking for.
Isn't that the purpose of putting this agenda out, like on Friday? To have an opportunity to look at it and research it, get your questions answered?
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, I encourage all council members to, when you get the agenda, and I think we try to have it out on Thursday afternoon, right? Is kind of the goal.
Friday.
Friday. So we've got all day Friday, we've got Monday and then Tuesday. So if there's something in there that's, we have concerns on, or we have any questions on, or just pick up the phone and either call Ryan or the mayor, or law director, or Kim, or even Katie, I know you'll answer your phone if it's a question on transit. But yeah, so I encourage all council members to do that.
Mr. President, but I think there's also a value of discussing those things
Definitely.
in this open forum amongst the council, amongst the city leadership, amongst the citizens who are present or watching this, so that everybody gets a better understanding.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of times I'll ask a question that I already know the answer, but I want that just heard.
Exactly.
So, yes.
So,
Another thing too is the transit is a complex situation.
yes.
And it's, difficult for some of us to understand, plus the public. So, we need to try to educate the public plus ourselves.
Okay.
And transit is a complex situation.
Okay. Is there any other questions on?
I have two.
Yep, go ahead.
This will be my last two, I promise.
For the night?
For this piece of legislation only. The contract on page 3 calls out a federal award date of June 16th, 2023, Mike. Page 3. Is that a typo or is that correct?
I would assume it's a typo. So this contract and grant agreement comes from ODOT. They ask us to approve that. And so I will double check that. I have to certify. You'll notice at the end of the contract, there's a certification from me. And so I will confirm that.
Okay, I believe that could be an error, but,
Yep.
and Ryan, the comment came up about making money. Is there an intent for the city to make money in transit? Or to reduce that $70,000 per year expense that we build into our city?
Reduce the $70,000, but not make money. That would be a perfect world. I'll say I don't think it will ever happen, but, because there's always something to purchase, but yeah, make money is not the goal here.
Thank you.
Provide a service at a reasonable cost is the
And not
goal.
spend more than the 70 that we're used to spending.
You're correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to another resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Dark County Educational Services for transportation services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contract with Dark County Educational Services for transportation services.
Make a motion to suspend the rules in this resolution and read it by title only, second, third time.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Dark County Educational Services for transportation services. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Dark County Educational Services for transportation services.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to adopt. Discussion.
Question. This did not pass the last time. Did we change anything in it? So how did it end up back on? Like, is it allowed to end up back on there?
You can.
Okay, I'm just asking.
No, yeah, absolutely. So we felt like we educated it enough that maybe people would understand it better, and it was maybe voted down because we didn't educate enough.
I didn't know if it had to
That's why we
change. That was
brought
the
it.
only question I had.
Yeah, but it's
Very good.
exactly the same.
Thank you.
But this is a new contract,
This is a new contract.
an additional incremental increase in contracts.
Yep, correct.
And since there was no data with the information sent, is this also a 2265, same language?
Yes, this is to provide, and Katie could probably explain it better than I could, but Dark County ESC is starting a new program, and they reached out to see if we would provide transportation to get the people in this program to and from, and Katie, you can probably explain better than me what it's.
It's going to be a support group, but they cannot limit it to just Greenville City Schools, so it has to be available to all the public schools in the county. So it's for families of students and the students themselves, and it's just a support group that they're doing. So this contract would allow us to provide transportation services to and from those meetings as they have them.
Are those meetings during the school day?
I'm not sure. They were still trying to work out some of the logistics, but I think they're in the evening, but I'm not 100% on that.
Okay, so if they're in the evening and they're beyond transit hours, how does that affect you?
It won't be. They're going to make the meeting time so that we would be able to do the transportation for them.
And just to reiterate, what are the hours of transit? Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday, we're 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So they would have to meet those, there's no special timing on this? Okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
But again, on this piece of legislation, there's an Exhibit A referenced with no contract and no Exhibit A associated with there in the package that came out.
I thought there was a contract with it. Jessica, do you have that contract?
I don't have it on me. It's the same contract that was with the last one that you should have a copy of.
See,
Okay, so we'll just attach it to this one.
Yes.
Any other questions, discussion?
And it's $22.65 in new, right?
$22.65 per trip, per
Person per trip.
per person, per trip, and per way.
per trip or?
Per person,
One way.
per way.
One way.
One way.
Okay.
Just like the other one said.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
And
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
White,
yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
All right, moving on to number 6. Katie, thank you for staying up there.
No problem.
Number 6, resolution authorizing mayor to enter into a contract.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with the Village Green to provide transit services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contract with Village Green for transit services that provide the city with compensation in the amount of $22.65 for each person each way.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Abstain.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Abstain.
Schmidt.
Yes.
All right, that will have to go on for a second reading. Moving on to number 7. Katie, thank you. You're good from now. I don't see any other transit. And thanks for turning down the AC. Number 7, resolution authorizing the presentation for former police chief.
A resolution authorizing the presentation to former Police Chief Eric Roberts his badge evidencing his status as a retired member of the Greenville Police Department and selling him his service gun. This resolution authorizes the presentation of his badge and gun to former Police Chief Eric Roberts evidencing his status as a retired member of the Greenville Police Department.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the presentation to former Police Chief Eric Roberts his badge evidencing his status as a retired member of the Greenville Police Department and selling him his service gun. A resolution authorizing the presentation to former Police Chief Eric Roberts his badge evidencing his status as a retired member of the Greenville Police Department and selling him his gun.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt the resolution. Discussion. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on, we have a resolution, community funds request.
A resolution authorizing financial assistance in support of the endeavors and pursuits of certain community-based entities. This resolution authorizes financial assistance in the amount of $1,200 to the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
White?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing financial assistance in support of the endeavors and pursuits of certain community-based entities. A resolution authorizing financial assistance in support of the endeavors and pursuits of certain community-based entities.
Move to adopt the resolution?
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt a resolution. Discussion. We have someone in attendance, I think, that can answer any questions if there is any. No questions?
That's nice, no question. May I speak then?
Sure.
Sure.
I'd just like to know, or like you to know that I really appreciate your support in this endeavor, because as we know, the tornado caused a great amount of damage. I would also like to let you know that we have raised $2,263.88 towards this project. The Masons, the Kiwanis, Zecker Bailey, East Zion Church, Eastern Star, Fort Greenville DAR, Dark County Genealogy, and then Lasting Legacy Memorials. They'll be doing this on their own cost for labor. And then Salem Stones Incorporated, their vendor, gave a reduced rate, almost at cost, to give us this stone for our community, so.
Well done.
Good job.
Good job.
So I do have a question other than this request. So they do the cemetery tour and like once a year or something and recognize certain cemetery graves. When do they do that? I know I went to one a couple years ago.
Oh, thank you for attending.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did 2 years in a row, and it's on an as-need basis,
Okay.
like when Tracy gets with us, and it's been Greenville Union Cemetery.
I thought it was, I think Ryan and I went together. I was really impressed and didn't realize some of the local heroes that we had. So I think that would be a great program to continue on, and I'd be a big supporter of that, so.
And I can also say the American 250, because we're going to have our anniversary in 2026. Fort Greenville also just got an award a grant from the Ohio Commission of American 250 for $3,700. And what that will consist of is museum-grade panels, and it'll tell all the history, some history of Dark County, whether it's the people, the communities within the county, and military, agriculture, business, so just, about that, so.
Thank you.
Where will those panels be put? I'm sorry.
They'll travel around the county, whether it's museums, schools, libraries, any organization that would want us to visit with them, they're traveling. And then our ultimate goal is to maybe make this State House and be on display there. So,
Yep, and while you're here, the time capsule, is that completed? That
Ryan, is
project?
that completed?
That little trade-off.
Which one are you talking about, the Treaty of Greenville or the?
Well, when we had the damage down there, the water damage from a year or so ago, and Mike Wise was making the.
That'd be the Gold Star Monument.
On the Gold Star.
Yes, that's been completed. And then the second phase, I could give you an update on that because you guys gave us money last year. Kathy Bowen, and because her family's the one that erected the Gold Star Monument, and ex-mayor Steve Roman, they're on the committee now, and we're at the final stages. We did find a $5,000 donor,
And we're gonna be, instead of the landscaping around there, not have to mess with mulch. We'll be putting paver bricks in there with the option of engraving on it
Yeah.
to memorialize the Gold Star families in Dark County. So,
Yeah, it's just neat. I wanted you to talk about it because there's so much going on there at the entrance to the park for years, and it looks gorgeous, and I attended the rededication, and it was just a neat thing for our city.
I think it'll really spruce it up a little bit with the pavers going around it, and then, you know, the park and street department, they won't have to mess with mulch and all that anymore, so.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all you do. Yep. Any other discussion on this?
Oh, and here's some Water Street books if anybody wants any. I'm donating them to you to read.
She gives me one every time she goes off.
No, I don't. Hey, it helped Van Vickle when he was doing nighttime watch that night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
All right, moving on to number 9, resolution authorizing bidding for contracts for water plant chemicals.
A resolution authorizing bidding for contracts for water plant chemicals. This resolution authorizes the safety service director to bid for contracts for water treatment chemicals to be used in calendar year 2025.
Move to suspend the rules of this resolution, give it second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing bidding for contracts for water plant chemicals. A resolution authorizing bidding for contracts for water plant chemicals.
Motion to adopt?
Moved by Mr. Godwin to adopt this resolution. Discussion.
Question.
Mr. President, oh, go ahead.
Everywhere, they're everywhere.
Mr. Brown, go ahead.
So, I know a couple of years ago, it was like tripled the price, right, because of COVID, and then last year wasn't quite that, it was more double the, like, you haven't expected, any idea? Triple, quadruple? Like what to look out for? Yeah, is it gonna go down?
I would love for it to go down. Let's get that on the record. It's tough to say with the cost that everything is right now. I don't foresee it tripling or doubling. I guess I'm optimistic that we'll probably be in the 20% increase range would be my.
One of the difficulties we've had with the water plant chemicals is there's not a ton of suppliers. There's a lot of these that we bid and we only get one bid back. And so, you know, unfortunately, we're kind of somewhat at the mercy of the pricing of the suppliers because there's not a ton of competition. So if anybody wants to start a water plant chemical company, it'd be great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brian, we heard a lot the last few weeks about the PFAS again. Is those chemicals, you know, help that too?
The PFAS?
Yeah,
No.
no, that's a separate thing.
Yeah, so PFAS is never going to go away. Yeah, I think the last I heard, they say it's already in 90% of us. You know, it comes from plastic, obviously, is the big part of it, and so it never goes away. There's some research out there now. So we have tested and do not have it in our water at the Greenville Creek or our wells where we draw it in. So I can tell you that, at least, no detectable amount, and it's measured in like parts per million. Where it is right now is it's getting into a lot of wastewater plants because it's in a lot of humans from eating out of plastic, drinking out of plastic, that sort of thing. So now there's a lot of talk on the wastewater side of things, maybe to put in an incinerator to burn it up, but then now they're saying, well, if you do that, it's just going to go to the air and then it's going to fall back down. So the smart people in the world have not come up with a way to totally get rid of it yet. But it's definitely a big topic in the EPA and something they're getting very serious at looking at. And you know, the wastewater side, we do test for it as well. Same thing, it's not at a high concentration, but you know, they feel that as time goes on, that concentration level is going to go up, and you know, the people who pull water downstream are going to get it from us, and vice versa. So yeah, it's very serious. But to answer your question, I know that was long-winded. No, there's no chemical that gets rid of it.
Okay.
Mr. White, I think you had a question?
No, I'll skip. I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
White.
Yep.
Brown.
Yep.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to number 10, supplemental ordinance.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. The supplemental ordinance allows for appropriations in the general fund in the sum as follows. Civil service exam expense in the amount of $6,000. These funds are needed due to the high volume of testing this year with changes in personnel. Traffic control supplies in the amount of $6,000. These funds are needed to replace various street signs and posts due to the tornado.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this ordinance and read it by title only, second, third time.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second, third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
White.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024.
Move to adopt the ordinance.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt the ordinance. Discussion. Call the roll.
White.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Solid Waste didn't want to pay for that.
All right, moving on, that completes our ordinance and resolutions. We do have, let's see, we have nothing under old business. Do we have anything under new business? Okay. Council representing outside committee, Community Improvement Corp. Was that, I think that's Mr. Brown, right? You have anything for?
Chris, I think.
We have a meeting next week.
Nothing to report?
Yeah, nothing to report this time.
Okay. Communications?
We received the monthly reports of April, May, and June from the fire department, the monthly report of June from the income tax department and the street department. We received a letter from the Darke County Commissioners in support of the Darke County Job and Family Services contract with transit. And we received a letter from ODOT in support of the contracts with transit.
Okay, thank you. Call council.
White.
A couple things. First off, thanks to everyone for being here tonight. The meetings seem to be getting a little longer, but I think there's a benefit to the meetings getting a little longer, and that's dialogue amongst the citizens, the council, and the administration. Congratulations, Ms. Benji. Looking forward to, I say congratulations and good luck altogether. I wish you the very best, and hopefully we'll be able to support you and help you in any way possible. The dialogue and the discussion in the council, I think, is good with what we're doing here now. And part of that is, I came on this council, and all I heard was a perception of this is a rubber stamp council. And I got to admit, we kind of looked like one. We acted like one in many cases. So the more dialogue we have, the more information we share, the more I think we can accomplish together. A subject that I will bring up here, because I didn't know where else to bring it up. In the 6 or 7 months I've been on council, and the history that I've looked at going back before I joined the council, we haven't had one item of new business. And I think that's a discussion item of what do we need to do to start talking about new business, growth, opportunities as a group. Because let's just be honest with ourselves, we're getting older and shriveling up in some ways and becoming less. So what are we doing to bring more to the future? And I don't bring that for a response today. It's a thought starter. What can we do? What are we doing? What can we do? And what are we going to do to focus on the future? More than supporting status quo. And end of my sermon.
Brown?
So definitely, thanks to everybody for coming. It's always nice, again, as I think Leon says, usually not talking to ourselves. Congrats to soon-to-be Chief Benji, as well as the others. Hopefully I can make it in the morning. I would like to. You know, I would like to echo Mr. White. I think, you know, in some aspects, the conversation is super nice. I think, you know, we had if we remember, a zoning matter that lasted quite a long time, and there was a lot of discussion about it, and I thought it was good. I think it gets us talking, gets us thinking, gets the administration thinking, and certainly it lets people in the public know that we're not up here just passing whatever, just because it's in front of us. So, you know, I think that's good. I hope that's why we were elected and into the spot we were. And lastly, are we able to keep these? Because I have a weird infatuation with cemeteries and would love to keep that. Oh, she left.
So it's yours.
Yes, I can keep it. With that, I pass.
Yes, I too. I mean, it sounds like we're saying this redundantly, but we're not. It's so nice when we have people sitting out there, someone that you can make eye contact with. It's nice that our department heads can come when they can. Congratulations, Lieutenant Benji, to becoming chief. We're so glad to have you on board. And we thank everybody for contributing, because that's what we're here for, is to contribute to the good of all, not just sit here and look, oh yeah, I guess I could do that. So I really want to thank you. I also want to thank you for, you know, we've got, I'm just going to put a plug in. We have a new business opening tomorrow. There's a ribbon cutting at Topsy Turvy Toys. And I encourage all of you, if you can be there for the ribbon cutting, that would be really great. But the biggest thing that I'm excited about, because even though I'm an old lady, I really like toys. So, I'm looking forward to going in, and I'm hoping she'll have a piano, but I don't think she'll have the piano I can jump on, so I'll have to pass on that. But I am looking forward to purchasing a first-year present for my great-granddaughter. So go to that, support that, keep working on supporting downtown businesses. Eldora is on Friday is going to have bringing in the buses to Sure Shot. So they're going to be there, and we're hoping they'll stay and support the local businesses as well, besides Sure Shot. So with that, I pass. Thank you.
Godwin?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming up tonight, and Lieutenant Benji, congratulations on being chief. And I was stopped this week from Mark that runs Eikenberry's on the south end of town, and he said that any council member can go out there on the 1st and the 3rd and see the up of the people that come out there on the 1st and 3rd to the Greenville Transit. And he said if Greenville Transit wasn't here, he said that would hurt his business tremendously. And, I've been on council a pretty good long time, and when I first got on here, I still ask a lot of questions. Ryan, I text him all the time. Don't I, Ryan? He does. And she's been here for the city for a long time. And we gotta have some trust in our administration. And I'm not saying, we do need to ask questions. And, like Mr. Smith said, ask them on Monday, and hopefully you can get them answered then. And with that, I'll pass.
Norris?
Thanks, everybody, for attending. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all the input out here. Lieutenant, I'll see you in the morning there, and we'll do the official thing, right? Greenville Girls Softball, got to hit my softball stuff. We have a big tournament coming up, last one for the season as far as the officials, so the 19th, 20th, 21st, about 2,000 people back out here at GGSA. On the 27th and 28th, we're going to sponsor and do a fundraiser for Special Olympics, and we're going to let them use our facility out here. So if you're out and about, stop by on, especially on Saturday. We'll have the Special Olympic group out there and helping them with softball, and it's going to be a really, really fun time for the kids.
Just what are the times out there, Ed?
Yeah.
What are the times?
The Friday night, when we do softball, we start at 6 o'clock on Friday night, and it's like 8 to 8 on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, it's an all-day thing. I'm not sure the exact time on the Special Olympics on Saturday. We do have it out there on the Facebook page. They have it on theirs. We have it on Greenville Girls Softball out there. For those of you interested in football, if you haven't had the chance to look out on My County Link, Galen Blosser and Alex Warner did an interview with the football coach, the new Greenville football coach. Good 25, 30 minutes. Neat to listen to as far as looking forward to wave sports in the fall. And would ask that we make a motion to excuse the absences for the month, please.
Okay, motion to excuse the absence for the month. Call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
And you said pass? Okay.
Thank you.
Rogers,
Yes, welcome, Lieutenant, and hopefully you get accomplished everything you'd like to do. And also, thanks to all the other people that came up and expressed their opinions tonight, and to the transit people back there. Glad you could fill us in a little bit, and it helps whenever we know more of what's going on and so forth. Also, it wasn't mentioned before, but I was in town for the fireworks this year, and usually I'm out of town. And it was great, great presentation. So I really enjoyed it. So with that, I pass.
Schmidt.
I wanted to thank everyone for coming up as well, and this young lady here in the front row that was so nervous, you did a fine job. You did a fine job. Lieutenant, I spoke to you on the way in, but congratulations again, and I'm sure you'll do a fine job. And with that, I will pass.
President Baumgartner.
Yep, just a couple things. So I do have a couple committee assignments that's been out there for a while. So we have an ad hoc committee for the discussion of establishing a joint fire and EMS district. Doesn't have a due date. So if you could just, I think Doug is chairman, if you could just kind of update us, don't have to be today, but whether we want to continue this on or if I need to remove it, and just let me know.
Okay.
And then the other ad hoc committee is discussion creating a drug prevention program. Dolores, you were on that along with Norris and White. So I think this would be a perfect time with having new leadership at our police department to maybe get with our new chief and see if we can get something rolling on that.
Okay.
That's all I had. And then, yeah, so congratulations, Ryan. You're going to do awesome. You've got the backing of council and backing of administration. I'm sure that's, you're not an old guy, you're pretty young, so I'm sure you're a little nervous, but you'll do fine. And we've got you set up with some additional training and stuff. So you're going to do well, and just let us know if anything you need, because we really need that department run smooth, and I'm sure you do it. And congratulations to Joe Monon, too, for his promotion. And then I just want to give a shout out to the street department. So here you have a department that has projects all summer long, and all of a sudden we threw in probably a third of your employees are picking up limbs and et cetera, but yet we're still getting everything else done. So just kudos to the street department, Matt. Just appreciate everything you do. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Majority. Moved by Mr. Rogers, adjourn. Sorry, Mr. Brown. Call roll.
White,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Just let.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.